So, hello, Gutsy Women. Welcome to this wonderful Wednesday. And today I have the very wonderful privilege and honour of interviewing Crystal Ray. She has a real story to tell, very inspiring story to tell. And I just feel that she's going to help so many people with her courage, her strength, and her determination to actually overcome everything that's happened to us. So, Crystal, I am so pleased and honored to have you here today. Can you tell people a little bit about who you are, where you are, and your story that got you to doing what you're doing now and how you help others?
Yes. So my name is Crystal Ray, and I often tell people I'm your gem of the day. I really try to have a more positive attitude these days and wake up knowing that, God's got my back. And I live in Oklahoma now. I have traveled quite a bit lately, and really in my lifetime, lots over the west side of the US. I also was raised in Alaska. I am a burn survivor, and what that means is I survived a traumatic burn injury in 2019. I was using substances and had a mental health crisis and tried to end my life by setting myself on fire. That is I should have probably prefaced, get your tissues, and I should come with a trigger warning. But I was given 5% chance to survive my injuries after those actions. And I'm very honored to be able to share a little bit of my story with you and your audience today. It's definitely not easy conversations to have. It's getting a lot easier as the time goes on to be able to share my journey. And why I am sharing now is early on, I thought I was the only one that could have gone through something like this, the only one that could have survived something like this, the only one that could have ever thought of doing anything like this. And the more I have done some of my own personal development, a lot of my own healing walk, I've learned that I'm definitely not the only one. Now I have lots of burn survivor friends and even a handful that are immolation survivors. And I was so amazed to find that out. It gave me a whole nother sense of being in this world, of belonging and knowing. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. Knowing that all this pain is going to have some kind of purpose. And it's not been an easy journey to get to the gem of the day that I am today. For a lot of years. So my fire happened in 2019 in remote Alaska. Um, I was life flighted from Alaska to Seattle, in Washington State, and it's one of the best hospitals in the US for burns. I think they're ranked third or fourth in the nation. That just happened to be the closest trauma center to where I was. So all of the stars aligned for me to get some of the best care in the nation. And I'm very grateful for that. In an instant, all of these doctors worked tirelessly to save my life. And for 5.5 months, I fought for my life in the ICU there. And I was a very difficult patient. I was very combative. Um, even even though I had survived and they had saved my life, I still struggled with acceptance and worthiness and dark thoughts, like really like a failure on a whole new level when I woke up. And so it took a lot of amazing medical providers, a lot of meticulous care to get me to where I am today. And now I share my journey daily and on social media and through volunteer opportunities within the Burn and Visible Difference community to help others navigate similar journeys.
Oof. Thank you for that.
You're
It's
welcome.
very, yeah, it's, I just feel really touched by your story because I interview quite a lot of people now, and I have not done that for since I started, this journey that I'm on, to speak to people who've had trauma in their lives, who've overcome trauma in their lives, and who've um, expressed what they were going through and how they help other people. And you're the first person I've interviewed that has touched me so deeply around the level of, this group's all about the mind body connection and how our mind and our emotions can create physical symptoms in our bodies that keep us sick. And your story points to the first bit of that trauma that actually didn't wasn't going away, and it felt like to you that the only way to make that go away was to have that incident happen, and that was your response to all of that trauma. And it kind of is raising the question in me, because I've never been at that level. I have to admit, I've had all sorts of things happen to me, lots of traumas and things, but despite all of that, I have never been at that level. And to help me understand where you were at, what got you to that level that felt like a permanent solution to some, what people would normally say were temporary problems if we get the right help?
Correct. So I was, like I said, leading up to the days of my fire, I really hadn't planned this out. I didn't have I didn't write a note. I didn't plan it. I had been using substances and struggling with my substance use. Now that I look back and have done a lot of my healing journey, I really struggled with some form of functional addiction since the time that I was a child. Um, and so I was struggling with my substance use, but in the week prior to my fire, I had been seen with this person that abused me as a child and who has lived near me where the fire occurred. And so this person who had abused me as a child lived near me, and I could reach out to him when I wanted to go get drugs or when I wanted to go to town because he had a car. But I really didn't, I was trying to numb myself from the other traumatic experiences that I had been through with him. And so just trying to numb myself with substances. I was in a really dark place with all of that. Plus, with my substance use, I had been clean for a while and I had relapsed really hard the week before my fire. And looking back, it was a lot of things that contributed, being around this old abuser, unhealed past traumas, and then this relapse. And I was also having custodial issues with my children because of my drug use. And so there was a lot of factors. And the day of my fire, I was coming down and I was thinking about, how am I going to face my children? How am I going to face my treatment counselors? How am I going to face my family and all of the people that have been helping me to be sober and get custody of my children back? And so I was beating myself up in this dilapidated camper, looking around at my environment, beating myself up about how I was living, thinking, because you could see the ground through the floor and the sky through the ceiling, like I was not like my life was not going to get any better. I was struggling so much, and now I really threw the one chance I had away by using. And when I was in this camper beating myself up about all of these things that I had been doing over the course of the week before, this abuser knocked on the window where I was sleeping, where I was laying. And so it was like that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I saw him, instantly snapped. That was the last thing I needed to see was him. And I came flying out the camper door, and my chainsaw gas was sitting on the ground outside the door. And so I just didn't even think about what was going to happen next. I just thought, there's no way I could survive this. I started pouring gas on myself, was having an exchange of words with him. And I don't believe he thought that I was going to light the lighter. And we were in remote Alaska, no running water, no cell phone service. And I poured gas on myself and lit myself on fire. And I remember thinking, nothing's ever going to get better. Nothing's ever going to change. And I'm never going to be the parent that my children need. So why not just end it now? Um, and I lit the lighter, and as soon as I smelled my hair burning, felt my skin burning, I covered my eyes and crouched down and yelled out to him to put me out. We didn't have any running water. There was an 18-gallon plastic tote that was full of dirty laundry outside on the other side of my door. And he picked that tote up. It had been rained on, and it was full of rainwater, and that was all the water we had. And he picked it up and poured it on me, smothered out the fire, then got me loaded into the car, took me to my uncle's house where they called from a landline, the paramedics. They came with a helicopter and life flighted me from my yard. And when I got there, um, I was outside screaming for them to help me. And so, because of that, even though I had tried to end my life, they knew I wanted help. And that's what they went off of they put me in a coma immediately. And life flighted me to Seattle. And then when I would wake up, I was so angry. I would ask them, why did you save my life? And why would you waste your time? You could see, they knew my fire was under an investigation to see if he did it. He lit me on fire if I did, but my doctors knew because of my injuries that I had done it and because of the witness accounts. And so sorry, lost my train of thought, but the witness accounts were that they knew I had lit myself on fire. I was so angry when I woke up that I would be combative and really fight, kick, and hit the doctors, like try to not let them poke me. I was in so much pain. Um, and so I was a very hard patient, and I was also given 5% chance to survive my injuries. And so I had lots of infections, my organs tried to fail. And so it was just a very hard recovery, and continued to be a pretty hard recovery for 3 years after my fire. Now it's been 6 years. And early on, when I asked them, why would you help me? And they would remind me that I asked for help. I initially asked for help. And that's what they're going on, is what I first said. And I'm so thankful that they put all the meticulous care and work into me. Um, but it was a hard journey for a while.
Wow. The next question I wanted to ask you, based on what you said, that you asked for help at that time. It's that survival instinct that kicks in, even though you, 1 second you wanted it to all end, and then the next second you were protecting your eyes and your body and asking to be saved, basically, from that quick decision that was made. And what benefits, seems like a strange word, Crystal, what benefits since that time of you still being here have you witnessed in your life? What blessings and benefits have you witnessed in your life since that incident 6 years ago?
Wow, too many to count. But really, so my relationship with my children and my family and just those closest to me has blossomed into amazing things. Um, the relationship that I have and the acceptance that I have with myself, the love that I have for myself, it has really been a huge blessing. And the knowledge that I have now of what it really takes to save somebody from an injury like mine, and all of the blessings that organ donation, that we don't even realize that skin is our biggest organ. And when people donate their organs, they donate that organ also. And we always think of hearts and kidneys and livers, but had there not been organ donors to give me their skin initially when I had none of my own, I wouldn't be here today.
Powerful, really powerful. There's so much that feeds into that particular situation that I hadn't even thought of, around, what's needed to help someone in your situation at the time. And so the blossoming relationships with your family, your children, and all of the learning that you've gained since that time. Would you say that the amount of help and support that you've got is keeping you going, or are you fully in your own journey now of staying focused on helping other people before they get to that decision, or do you help people after they've had that decision as well?
So I believe that it's both. I I still believe in the power of community and connection. Um, that is never gonna, like, now when I still am a little bit isolated, but in a different way. I keep my circle small. I think about, you are the five people that you surround yourself with, and I try to remind people that I'm helping of that. But I help people that have had suicidal ideation, that have survived an injury like mine. So afterwards, I also help people that have suicidal ideation before they've done anything. But kind of most of them are all burn survivors. There's lots of different ways you can get burned. And when it disfigures your face and your body, it makes it hard for you to accept life as this new person in this new body. And a lot of people, trauma survivors that I have spoke with, have had moments of, even if their fire or burn did not occur from suicidal ideation or self-inflicted, that they are now suicidal because of the way their appearance is, and they don't want to accept that this is how their new appearance is. And I was there, and so I help on both sides, I believe.
Yeah, it seems like it was, like you've just said, people get suicidal after their appearance changes, and you can actually understand that, massively. And what does your work look like in practice now? Do you have groups? Do you speak on stage? Do you work one-to-one with people? What does your work actually look like, and how can people actually come into your circle as far as that's concerned? How can they find you and do what they need to do? And
So I lived experience speaker, public speaker. I speak, I speak a lot more online than I do in person. I'm broadening my horizons though, and hoping that that comes to more fruition for me. And I believe it will. I'm just getting started. So I do have lots of links that we'll post in the show notes, that like if you're interested in connecting with me to have me speak in your group or for your organization, I'm very open and would welcome that. The one-on-one work that I do is generally, if you're a you do have to be a burn survivor. I'm a peer support advocate for Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors, and you would just connect with the Phoenix Society on their website, and so in my links I also have their resources available, so you can click on to find how to get hooked up with peer support. But generally the peer support referrals come from the burn units or Phoenix Society from the burn units. So they're connecting us as peer supporters with people who have similar injuries, and that way. So if you're interested in that, peer support, it will be through those links as well. I don't personally offer one-on-one support yet. I'm working on that for myself. But I do a lot of volunteer work at retreats, as far as being there for peer support for adult burn survivors retreats as well. So I get invited to adaptive sports retreats to help be the female peer support volunteer at those retreats. And we take groups of 10 burn survivors, 5 men and 5 women, and they all have to be, I believe, 24 to, I want to say 80 is I don't know if there's an actual too old, but you have to be at least 24. And you have to have at least a 20% burn, I believe. So you have to have a pretty significant burn, and we take them out and do different adaptive sports. So there's a spring, or I mean, there's a fall and a winter. And in the winter, this last winter, we went snowboarding and skiing with the group. And it's a 4-day retreat, and we get to have some groups and meet some firefighters and go tour some fire stations. And these happen in Colorado. And then in the fall, we take them on a ropes course, and they do get harnesses on, and they can go on this ropes obstacle course, and also paddle boarding and some rock climbing with ropes and stuff. And it's all adaptive sports with the burn surgeons and the burn nurses there, and adaptive sports and instructors. And so it's a really amazing experience to be there to support other burn survivors.
I imagine that those adaptive sports will also help lift that people's mindset around what they're capable of, what they're still capable of, and that life is great. You can get through what you've been through and back into life again and see how strong you are. So Crystal,
Absolutely right.
yeah, you're an amazing woman. Thank you so much. And I normally say, I like to say it like, when was a time when you were a gutsy woman? Tell us a time when you were a gutsy woman. You don't need to you don't need to say that. You are a bloody gutsy woman. Excuse my
Thank you.
language. But final thoughts. What would you say to someone who was going through a very difficult time psychologically and emotionally now? What words of wisdom can you offer the people who are watching this video today?
I often like to just remind people to believe in themselves and anything is possible. I also I've shared this on other interviews and I'll just share it really quickly. Like I have my own LMFAO mantra and it just kind of reminds me. I have a little PDF that I'll link in the notes to you or send you so you can link in your notes. Um, and it just reminds me to laugh a little bit, not take myself so seriously, because LMFAO, we know what that all stands for with the
Mhm.
inappropriate terms, but mine is a little bit different. And mine, it just reminds me that L is to love myself. Love yourself first. If not you, then who? I look at myself in the eyes in the morning and I say, I love you, Crystal. And it costs a lot of money to look this good. Let's go show them how we do it. And so pep talk myself in the mirror. Love yourself. Um, the M is to make your bed. Early on, it was for me to remind me to massage my scars and to do my stretches and all of that. So M is to make your bed. And you can count that as physical therapy. You can make it a gratitude practice. Just be grateful you have the mobility to walk around the bed. Be grateful you have a bed to make. Be grateful you have those blankets to make pretty. Walk around the bed, make it all nice for you. Even if your day was wrecked, you'll have a good night's sleep because you made your bed. And the F is to have faith. Faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. Have faith that the universe is working in your favor and not against you. And that can be hard sometimes to just remind yourself this is all for the greater good and I can get through this. But the universe is working in your favor and not against you. The A is to acknowledge those accomplishments. Pat yourself on the back throughout the day. Acknowledge your small wins. Give yourself some love, hug, and acknowledge that you did that. You loved on yourself. You made your bed and you talk to the universe about your fears, your hopes, your dreams. Acknowledge those things. And then the last one is one that I really try to remind myself. It's last but not least, oxygen. The O is for oxygen. Take a moment to breathe. Fill your lungs up as far as you can and be thankful that you can take that breath and that you have that life in your lungs. And take a moment to that pause. I didn't take a moment to pause and to breathe that day. And it's if I try not to ruminate on what I should have, would have, could have done because I can't change the past. But if I could have changed anything that day, I would have stopped and taken a couple breaths.
Fantastic, wonderful, wonderful way to use that LMAFO, whatever it is. I know, nothing might. Yeah. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I would love that to be put into the comments underneath your video once I post it into the group. And Crystal, I just want to say how much I admire you, your strength, your courage, and your vulnerability for sharing your story today. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you everybody for watching. Please contact Crystal, comment in the comments, show us some love, and she will be more than happy to engage with you, answer any questions that you might have, and please connect with her if anything today has resonated with you. Okay, let's get this.